If everybody can hear me, just give me another minute or so. I'm trying to get everything set up, and we're still waiting on Mr. Jerry Miller. I'm sure I've been speaking with on the phone. So give me just a second, and we'll get her started. All right. Regina, can you hear me okay?
Yes.
All right, we'll make sure I'm set up, everybody. All right, well, good evening. We've got we got a lot of business to conduct tonight. And so we're going to get started with a call to order and an invocation. I've got Mr. Pastor Jerry Miller on my phone. So he's going to give us an invocation. And Mr. Miller, Pastor Miller is from Carolina Baptist Association, sir. The floor is yours. If you would please open us up with a word of prayer.
Okay. Just want to say it's an honor to be able to do this tonight for the group. Let's pray together. Father in heaven, we thank you for this opportunity to praise you and to honor you in prayer. Thank you for the fact that we can come to you with everything in our lives and know that you care for us. We're grateful for your many blessings to us and for our life, for our freedoms, for our families, for our community. Lord, as we go through this life, we need your help and your guidance in the many decisions that we all make that impact the lives of so many others, especially our children and our young people. Lord, I lift up the leaders of our nation, our state, our city of Lone Oak, and also lift up our teachers and students as they have had to make lots of major change in the school system and their activities. Lord, I thank you for Mayor Reed tonight and his leadership, and I pray also for all the city council members that have been elected to represent the people of Lone Oak. Lord, I pray that all of them will be guided by your spirit and your wisdom as they make decisions tonight to help their citizens. And Lord, our nation is broken. It's struggling with so many issues, especially COVID-19 and also the unrest in our nation. So Lord, I pray that you will bring healing and you would replace evil things with good things. Lord, may you guide this meeting tonight, guide this council in their work. And Lord, we will always be careful to give you the glory and the praise and all that is accomplished in through all of us. In Jesus' name I pray. Amen.
Amen. Pastor, thank you very much. Hopefully next time we get an invite, we'll be in person, and we won't have to go through this dance. But I
would like to do that with you in person for sure. Thank you.
Beautiful prayer. Thank you very much. You have a good night, sir.
Okay. God bless y'all. Thank you.
All right. Well, I don't see Miss Jerry Beth, and I don't believe she's going to be able to join us tonight, unfortunately. So, Regina, if you would, go ahead and open us up with a roll call, please.
Mayor Reed?
Here.
Mr. Philip Howell? I see him. Ms. Stewart?
Here.
Mr. Cordell? Do you see Matt?
Matt's likely not going to be able to make it tonight. He was unsure when I spoke with him last.
Miss Bridges?
Here.
Miss Elmore?
Here.
Mr. Biles?
Here.
Mr. Jones? Mr. Hatton? Mr. Florence?
Here.
Mr. Butler.
Here.
Mayor, we have a quorum.
All right, thanks, Regina, appreciate it. All right, there's no public comment on the agenda tonight. So we're just gonna get the minutes approved. The city council packet was made available last Thursday. I want to make sure everybody had an opportunity to pick it up. It was sent out digitally. You guys had an opportunity to review it. Some of those were picked up. If everybody had an opportunity to vet it, then I'll take a motion to approve the August 10th regular meeting minutes.
So moved.
Second.
All right, motion made by Coy Butler, seconded by Ms. Alice Bridges. Any questions? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Thank you very much. All right. Last month we had a working session and a special meeting as well. So those were also included in the packet. I'll take a motion to accept the August 13th working session.
So moved.
Second.
All right, I've got a motion made by Coy Butler and seconded by Ms. Elmore. Any questions on those? All in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion passes. And I'll take a motion to approve the special meeting minutes.
Move to accept the special meeting minutes from August 13th.
Second.
Motion's made by Ms. Alice Bridges, seconded by Coy Butler. Any questions? All in favor, say aye.
Aye. Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, very well. Thank you very much. All right, we are going to scratch the 22 executive board report this evening. We'll pick up next month. And next on the agenda will be Mr. Gene Eagle with an economic development report. Sir, the floor is yours.
Good evening, everyone. I'd like to start out with just saying that through the Metro Little Rock Alliance, we had 5 projects that were sent our way in the last 30 days. 3 of them were looking for existing buildings, and we didn't respond to those. 2 others were looking for a greenfield site. One of those, after consulting with Mayor Reed, we decided to pass on it as it had an aspect of it related to livestock that we just didn't know that it was going to be the best fit. The other one, we did respond to it. Also, with the respect to the Metro Little Rock Alliance, they approved a 1-page advertisement in Governor Hutchinson's economic development report. I'm going to be making that available for people to see, along with some other information. I'll touch on that in a little bit. And I wanted to mention that Ben France, who's been my main contact at Metro Little Rock, is leaving for another job. So they'll be replacing him. Hate to see him go. He's been a colleague of mine for a number of years. Also this month, I continued to collaborate with our real estate professionals looking at our industrial sites, economic development sites, and collaborated with Dan Salinger, taking a hard look at what we have available and what we can do together through a community development effort to drive our economic development. We worked with the Chamber of Commerce. We have information that we've received from the Newport Economic Development Commission, and wanted to let you know that the Chamber website, we're working to use that as our website to host this information so people can go look at this information at their leisure. We also started something that's in the discussion stage and will be kicked off pretty soon. It's the Global Entrepreneurship Week, which is going to occur November 16th through the 22nd. Lone Oak is lining up to be a participant as a community that will work alongside other communities in Arkansas as a part of a conductor, a business conductor. And so you'll hear more about that. But again, the Entrepreneurship Week this year is November 16th to the 22nd, and there'll be more from us on that moving forward. With that, I'll close, and thank you very much.
Gene, I appreciate it. Thank you for your time. Are there any questions? All right. If there are no questions, then we'll move forward. Next on the agenda is our community development report. Sir Dan Salinger, you got the floor, sir. Good evening.
Don't have a whole lot to really bring into the limelight right now. One of the things that we did actually get accomplished, or let me say it on track, not accomplished, is that we, if you pass by the old nursing home, we have a group of owners that have actually gone out there with the boards and the materials to board it up. They wanted to tear it down, but I had to kind of advise them that that was not available to them because it's going to be a part of a brownfield report and there's lots of chemicals and that kind of stuff. But we're making progress with that we actually have somebody interested enough to go out there and board that up now. That's going to be a big safety factor for our kids. We've had a couple of the houses torn down. The one on Harrison has been torn down and eradicated. We had the one on Center Street has been eradicated. There's a little hang up with the payment because we didn't have to pay for the one to be taken down on Center Street. That was paid for by the owner. The owner was also making arrangements with the contractor to take down another one. There's a slight hang up on that, but it's something I think we can overcome. We are still on track to take the third house down on England if the current owners don't take it down by the 1st of October. We've had a couple more houses that we've gotten coordination with that we didn't have to get involved with as a city that's going to come down. One at the corner of 9th and I can't think of the name of the street now. It comes off by the shop. Anyway, that house is going to be coming down. That was being picked up by Mr. Randy Phillips. He's going to take that house down. So that's
Ninth and
Barnes. 9th and Barnes, thank you. And we've also coordinated with the CAPDD. They have an ownership on a house that they're going to be interested in taking down. That won't cost us anything else. So we're looking at about 5 or 6 houses that are coming down or have come down. 3 or 4 of them are not going to cost the city anything to get that eradicated. And I'm kind of happy that we've made that progress. And that's all I have.
And I appreciate your time. Does anybody have any questions for Dan tonight? Okay, if not, we're moving on. Chief Wittenberg, you got the floor, sir. Fire report.
Good evening. In front of you should have my monthly report. Looks like we had 3 EMS runs, 19 total fire runs, and a total of 22, an average attendance of 7.09, and we were on scene for 14 hours and 52 minutes. Any questions on that? All right, I do have one item for you to look at. It's a battery-powered positive pressure fan. We use this when we have a house full of smoke or contaminants or anything like that. The reason we're going battery-powered is because most of our fans right now are gas-powered. So if you have a house full of carbon monoxide and use a gas-powered fan, you're defeating the purpose. So a battery-powered or electric fan would work better. So I have 3 quotes in front of you. David's Fire for $41.22, and they get higher from that. So David's Fire is the lower bid.
Justin, I have a question.
Yes, ma'am.
Because all the bids are so close to each other, do you have a preference?
No, ma'am, I don't. David's Fire, I know, has it in stock, so I could pick it up Wednesday if I wanted to.
Any other questions? Okay, if there's not, then I'll ask for a motion to accept the bid for $4,122 from David's Fire Equipment.
So moved.
Second.
All right, motion's made by Coy Butler and seconded by Alice Bridges. Any questions? All in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion carries. Anything else for us, Justin?
No, sir, that's all I have.
I really appreciate it. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
All right, Public Works report. Jim Kelly, floor is yours, sir.
All right, I'm sorry. Can everybody hear me?
We can hear you.
First off is the monthly report. Noticeable things on that would be the water loss at 9.24%, which is really good. A lot of service line leaks. We usually attribute most of that to the hot weather, which a lot of the construction in town is probably attributed to that as well. Got a lot of the ditch cut in Mallard Cove. I'd say we probably only have about a week and a half left to work out there before we complete all the heavy digging and then focus on cleanup out there. The Kirk Street culverts were still supposed to be installed today, but actually he brought the equipment over, dropped it off, and we're going to begin installation tomorrow morning on that. So we got another busy month ahead of us as well. And that's pretty much it as far as just my monthly report goes. I do have 2 quotes provided, both from Clark Hydraulic. One of these is for a aftermarket final drive for our Case Traco, and the other is for a new final drive for the Case Traco. Actually, the new one comes with a 6-month warranty, and it's $9,187.98. And I can get an aftermarket one out of New York for $4,878.36. And I will need some kind of action on this tonight.
Jim, which do you prefer?
I don't see any reason not to go with the aftermarket, honestly.
Was there any type of warranty with that aftermarket product?
Yeah, it's 6 months, 6 months more than what the new one is, 1 year.
I see it. All right, good.
Yeah, I'm not sure the logic in that, but it works for me.
All right, I'll take a motion to entertain the bid for $4,878.36 from Clark.
I'll make that motion. Second.
Motion's made by Michael Florence, seconded by Coy Butler. Any questions on it? If not, all in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion carries. Anything else, Jim?
That's it. Open any questions if anybody has any.
Any questions for Jim? All right, thanks, Jim. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right. Off the police department report. Chief, floor is yours, sir.
Good evening. Good evening, everyone. In front of you have my monthly report. Overall, we had 246 complaint or dispatch calls. 224 of those were 911 calls. We served 26 misdemeanor warrants, trying to serve a little bit more of those as they come due to the court being closed through COVID. Got 3 felony warrants served. Billed to immigration, it's $1,410, and billed to ADC was $8,100. Anybody have any questions on the monthly report? Okay. In front of you, I'm asking for a warranty, not a warranty, a maintenance contract through Cummings for our generator. We do not have one at this current moment, and this is a 3-year quote. Them to come out and inspect, change oil, and maintenance it for 3 years. The total amount on that is $2,985.71. This is a non-budgeted item, and I'm requesting that we get the contract.
I'll take a motion.
So moved.
Second.
Motion is made by Ms. Elmore, seconded by Alice Bridges. Are there any questions on the estimate?
I have a question. You said it's non-budgeted. So do we know where the funds will come from?
Wondering if we could take that out of the criminal justice. Because
Okay.
the generator runs the police department during storms, and this last storm that we had a little malfunction getting it up and running. It's supposed to kick on when the power goes off, and it did not. We worked on it for a few hours to get it up and running, and the next day we started getting quotes from Cummings to come and do a maintenance on it.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions? All right, we've got a motion and a second. If there's no other questions, take it to a vote. And all in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed? All right, the motion carries.
Thank you. That's all I have.
All right, thanks, Chief. All right, next on the list is a parks report. Mr. Gordon Lewis, sir. How you doing tonight?
Okay. In your packet, you should have about 3 different quotes of different kind of cameras. One from Johnson Controls, one from Lorex, and one from Sam's. I know Sam's and the Lorex is do-it-yourself. One of them's a wired set, and then you'd have to hire an electrician to put them in. The other one was, I think, from Sam's is no, the Lorex is not wired, and you see the price on it. And also we have solar panels. You'd have to buy a solar panel for each one. That way you won't run the batteries down so much. I'm just asking which one y'all want rather for me to do, if any of these, or you want me to keep researching.
All right, the floor is open for discussion.
I would say keep researching a little bit. I think 11,000, whatever that is, it's a little steep for camp. I do like the solar powered or battery powered. I know there are other options without spending $11,000-12,000.
Okay.
I agree.
Any other concerns?
We do. I think we just soon buy them at Sam's, whatever. The one we got set up here in the shop works fine. Seems to work great. And they come from Sam's.
Which one is that, Roy Don?
That's
Is it
the
the
one from
Smart or
Sam's.
the Lorex?
Hold on, let me get my papers here. It's not the Lorex. Yeah, it is. It's the Lorex from Sam's.
How many solar panels would you have to purchase?
One for each camera. Now you don't have to have the solar panels. They run off batteries.
Okay.
They thought the solar panels the solar panels will hook up and keep the batteries charged, so you don't have to buy them batteries, because the battery for these cameras, some of them runs off AA, some of them runs off a different kind. I know the ones at my house, it costs $75 a battery. They last about a year.
Roy Don, it looks like the Lorex brand has night vision. Do the other ones? All
Yes,
of them
ma'am.
have?
All sets of them has night vision on them. I didn't print off everything that goes with them. You could read on it and it tells how good they were.
Now, are these all for the exterior of the building
Yes.
on the corners as it shows in the diagram?
Yeah. Johnson Controls, they done a diagram showing you when they would put them. I believe. No, they didn't do a diagram. Myself, I think we ought to go with the one from Sam's or something like that, or keep researching and find something else. I can't stand to see spending $7,000 or $11,000 just for security cameras. Me personally.
What kind of warranties do they have?
Johnson Controls, if you read it, the 7,000 is not no warranty. 11,000 is with warranties, and they do keep maintenance on them for 11,000 and stuff. These other ones, Lorex and everything, I believe they have a 1-year warranty. I'd have to check on that. Pierce had all this written down for me, and he's not here. I don't know where he's got it. The warranties and everything. He's the one been doing the research for me.
So are you going to monitor these on an app on your phone, or do you have a system, a monitor that records? And
Yes, ma'am. It goes into a cloud and it stays on in the cloud. Like the ones over at the shop, I can go back and look at them. It records it, and I go back and look at them. They do. The Lorex brand does. I know they have an app that you can download. But we try to do the app out here on the shop one, and we couldn't get it to work. I don't know why, but we couldn't ever get it to pull up. We read the reviews on it, and some of them said that that's having problems with the app. The cameras are great, and recording. We can go back and look every day. We can go back and look, make sure. But it's got good nighttime pictures.
would they alert you at night if there were a situation that developed?
Not they would if I can get the app, the ones with the app. That's the reason why I would really like to do a little bit more research. Because Mr. Florence told me he uses a different kind called Blink, and he said he's had real good luck with it. It alerts him over his phone and stuff. And so I'd like to do more research on these cameras and see what we can come up with.
Yeah, I know they make nice ones that will alert you if there's any situation that develops on your phone.
Okay.
And that way you would know immediately if someone were out there at night.
Right.
Blink and Nest both work really well for that, and for a whole lot less money.
All right, so Roy Don, we'll do some more digging.
Yeah, I'll bring it next council meeting. That's no problem. And now I do have another thing, if you don't mind. Well, Mayor, this is really yours. Is the Laurel City Hall sign? Is it not in your packet?
It's under new business, yes, sir.
Okay. You want me to bring that up, or you gonna wait till then?
That's okay. Just hang out with us, and we'll discuss it towards the end.
I will. And on the flower beds out here, or the landscaping, I've got a quote from Mark Roberts for $4,200 for the block work around the landscaping thing. I've been waiting on another quote to come in from the guy that blocked our concession stand, but he's not. He said he's going to have it to me by this Monday, and he never did send it to me. I tried to call him twice today, and I tried to call him Friday, and he never did answer. So, you want to wait on that, Mayor, or what?
Yeah, let's wait.
$200.
We're not in a hurry with that right now. That's definitely a low priority project.
The only thing is, y'all said you'd like to try to get the plants planted, at least in October.
Fall time. You can circulate the year, will be okay.
The $4,200 includes the plants and the block work?
No, just the block work, concrete, just the block work.
Okay.
Roy Don, do you have some kind of a drawing or something you could share with us on how much block work that's going to be? I mean, I don't know if it's 3 feet or if it's 30 feet worth or.
Yes, ma'am, I had that and I give it to Mark and the other guy. I had 2 copies. We just drawed it out and had the measurements on it. I give them both the copies. I'll have it at the next council meeting for you. No problem. I was just letting you know, we were working on that, but I'm still trying to get other bids on it.
Any questions? Any questions from the council about the mosquito program?
You do have the thing in there for mosquitoes. We did fly Friday night, and we're planning on flying again this Friday night. If you get out, I've been walking for the last 2 weeks in the morning time. Last week they ate me up. Week before last they ate me up. Last week after we sprayed, they got better, and this morning didn't feel a mosquito warm. I know it's a little bit cooler, the wind blowing a little bit, but still they're cutting this rice and everything. We're going to fly one more time this week, Friday night.
Is there a football game at home Friday night?
Oh, ma'am.
Okay, that's good.
That's the reason why we picked this last Friday and this coming Friday.
Good job.
That's all I got, Mayor.
Thanks. Any questions for Roy Don before we move on?
They did get our security system up and running in the concession stand today.
Good deal. All right. Appreciate it, sir. Mr. Mike Brown with the Community Center report. How you doing, sir? I still got you muted. Let me see. There you go.
Can you hear me? Okay.
Yes,
for the month of August at the center, we had almost a 50-member increase, and I attributed that for a kids for our swim program. We had an increase in for dollar amount. This will be the first month that I've actually asked for anything. So my two items would be the purchase of it's called a temperature measurement system. It's the one that the school has in all of their buildings. And well, since COVID hit, we've been manning someone at the table up front, costing a lot of payroll. And if we had this will take a snapshot, remind folks to put their mask on, and tell if the temperatures are within range, and that will cut down on one person for me. I foresee, we're using this thing probably forever, and we still use it after COVID, after they find a vaccine. That's an amount of $2,702.28. And this company, Amsco, they're a Tips Taps vendor. So they're already vetted. And to approve, I mentioned our swim program. We hired Chad Price as aquatics director. And he brought his swim team from Searcy to Lone Oak. And we're asking to approve his practice times from 4:30 to 6:30 as our contract price of $200 a month. Plus we get extra members. Our last pool director, he paid $300, but we didn't require membership. This way, I think we're going to make a whole. Like I say, our memberships have already gone up. So those two things, and that I'm asking for. This past weekend, we hosted a swim meet and had 4 teams there, and 75 kids. The social distance, everybody had tents outside, and we would call the teams in one heat at a time. And from that meet, the center made $750 and had a bunch of people in town staying in hotels and eating out. So It's a win-win for the center. And early voting, the 19th through the 2nd, and election day is the 3rd. And I reached out to the clerk's office to verify, all of that, and will we be required to take temperatures as they come in? And she couldn't give me that answer. She was getting with Stubby and the state to see what our requirements would be. Mayor, that's all I've got except for those 2 action items.
Well, I make a motion to accept the bid for the temperature kit at $2,702.28.
I second that.
Hey, sorry guys, I was talking to myself there for a second. All right. I had a motion by Ms. Elmore, seconded by Coy Butler. Are there any questions or concerns? All right, if not, take it to a vote. All in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed? All right, that motion carries. All right, next, in order for Mr. Price to do business with the city, we've got an ordinance that needs to be approved by the council, and then we'll discuss any concerns about the contract, okay? That was, and both of which were pushed earlier today as a late addition to the packet. So at this point, I need a motion to put ordinance 770 on the floor, allowing Chad Price to conduct business with the city of Lone Oak.
So moved.
Second.
Motion's made by Coy Butler and seconded by Raymond. Stuart, if you would, please read the ordinance. I got you muted still.
I'm here now. Got ordinance number 770 and ordinance amending ordinances numbers 267 and 555, allowing a city official to conduct business with the city. Whereas ordinance number 267 generally authorized the mayor, council members, or various city officials to conduct business with the city of Lone Oak, Arkansas under certain circumstances if the value of the goods and services provided was less than $2,000. Whereas ordinance number 555 increased the amount of business allowed to be conducted between the mayor, council members, or city officials with the city from $2,000 to $10,000. Whereas Arkansas Code Annotated 14-42-107 prohibits a municipal employee from conducting business with the city unless specifically permitted by ordinance. Whereas Lone Oak Community Center Aquatics Facility Supervisor Chad E. Price owns and operates the Shark Attack swim team and has recently entered into a contract with the city to operate that swim team from the Lone Oak Community Center. Whereas the city council believes that it's in the city's best interest for Chad E. Price and the Shark Attack swim team to be allowed to enter into a contract with the city for Chad E. Price to lease the Lone Oak Community Center pool at certain times and dates for the purposes of operating the Shark Attack competitive swim team, notwithstanding Chad E. Price's employment by the city of Lone Oak Community Center. Whereas the city respects the need for transparency in its dealings with persons and businesses who provide goods and services to the city. Now therefore be it ordained by the City Council of the City of Lone Oak, Arkansas, number 1, ordinances numbers 267 and 555 are hereby amended to allow for the city to continue engaging in business with Chad E. Price and the Shark Attack swim team, for which Chad E. Price is an owner, so that Chad E. Price can operate the Shark Attack competitive swim team through the City of Lone Oak Community Center. Number 2, all provisions of ordinances numbers 267 and 555, including the limits on the amount of goods, equipment, or services that can be purchased, shall remain in full force and effect. Number 3, all ordinances or parts or provisions of ordinances in conflict with the provisions of this ordinance are hereby repealed to the extent they are in conflict. Number 4, emergency clause. In light of the need to continue to do business with and receive certain services from the above listed businesses and an individual within the City of Lone Oak, an emergency is hereby declared in order to provide for the continued peace, health, safety, and welfare of the residents of the City of Lone Oak. The provisions of this ordinance shall be in full force and effect from and after the adoption of this ordinance and emergency clause.
Thank you. I'll take a motion to accept the first reading.
Motion so moved.
Second.
All right, motion's made by Mr. Raymond Hatton and seconded by Alice Bridges. Any questions about the ordinance? Any concerns? Okay, all in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion carries. This time I need a motion to suspend the rules for the second and third reading, title only.
So moved. Michael.
Do I have a second?
Second, Raymond.
Motion is made by Michael Florence and seconded by Raymond Hatton.
Ordinance number 770, and ordinance amending ordinances numbers 267 and 555, allowing a city official to conduct business with the city.
I take a motion to accept the second and third reading, title only. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Second.
Motion is made by Alice Bridges and seconded by Raymond Hatton. All in favor, say aye.
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 All right, any opposed? All right, at this point, I take a motion to adopt.
Motion so moved.
Thank you. Do I have a second?
Second, Michael.
All right, motion by Raymond Hatton and seconded by Michael Florence. All in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion carries. And I'll take a motion to adopt the emergency clause.
Move to adopt the emergency clause.
Thank you.
Second.
Motion made by Ms. Alice Bridges, seconded by Raymond Hatton. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, 770 is complete. All right, next.
Can I ask a question about that, please?
Yes, ma'am.
Will the high school still have a swim team?
Yes, ma'am. They're still having a swim team. Chad helps out with them.
Okay, who else coaches that?
Laura Denson.
Okay, all right, thank you.
All right, and then Mike also went ahead and explained the broad strokes to the contract that's been drafted. It's been vetted by Ginger, and we need approval by the city council to implement it. So I'll take a motion to accept the swim team contract.
So
So
moved.
moved. Second, Coy Butler.
I get a motion by Suzette Elmore, seconded by Coy Butler. Are there any questions or concerns about it? Okay, if not, we'll take it to a vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Contract passes. Mike, appreciate you. Do you have anything? Does anybody have any questions for Mike before we move on to old business? All right. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
All right, next on the agenda is old business. We got 2 points. Most of probably going to require some discussion. Last city council, I believe it was, asked city council to release an RFP to renegotiate our garbage contract. In between time, we had a working session to learn about 3 different companies in our local area, what they provide, so that we could frame an RFP for release. And we have drafted that, and that's been put in your packet for consideration. And I'm going to read real quickly the first 6 points that kind of outline what we're asking in this RFP. Once per week trash pickup, 1 standardized trash receptacle per residence with an option that allows residents to procure more than 1 bin. We need the ability to turn a upside down each bin that completely eliminates it from waste and liquids and assures the lids are closed once they're set back down. We want a company that can provide a pamphlet that's going to be given to the city to distribute in the water bill once a year, explaining expectations to each resident. And we're asking to also send an estimate for biweekly recycling services with a standard receptacle and an annual chain of custody report for all recycled waste materials so that we can maintain accountability of where those recycled materials are going. and give the city also a written description of how the company will handle trash and additional trash during the Christmas season. All right, and that's the summary of what we're asking. After which we get sealed bids, we get a suitor approved by the council, then we will discuss the contract with the company. So in order for us to release an RFP tomorrow, I'll take a motion to accept the sanitation contract as drafted, or call it an RFP as drafted.
So moved.
And second, Brian.
Motion made by Coy Butler, seconded by Ryan Biles. Any questions or concerns?
Mr. Mayor, I want to just give thanks to our colleague, Ms. Bridges, for doing a tremendous amount of research, presenting clearly to us, and the working session that was arranged was extremely beneficial and helpful. So I expect that all of us have had our collective levels of understanding about this whole issue raised. I know mine certainly has. So I want to thank her for that opportunity. And also want to thank the city for specifically seeking input from the community via the online survey. Seemed like we had a lot of feedback from that, and that was a great tool to have a clear understanding of what specific things that the people in our constituents and the people in our community want with regards to trash pickup and recycling. So we were able to make an informed data-based decision for this RFP criteria, and I appreciate everybody's work, that everything that went into that.
I appreciate it. And I'll say too, it doesn't matter who we pick or go with, there's going to be a bit of a learning curve anytime we have a new partner. They're going to have a different way of providing service. And so I'd ask you guys to help educate your constituents, and I'd ask constituents to stay informed to call City Hall in the future. The goal is to have a new suitor at the beginning of the year. And if they have questions, and they need to feel free, more than free, to call the water department, and we'll do everything we can to educate the public and get the information out there that they need. So
I'd like to just make one comment. If you notice on the RFP, D is any additional information for consideration. And the mayor and I talked about this today, that yes, we want a competent solid waste management company, but we also want a company that's going to fit well with our community and the needs of our constituents. So other considerations to me means that we might pick someone because of what they can do to benefit the community, not necessarily totally based on price.
I think Alice is talking about value. And also too, I can't say enough, there's a 96-gallon blue garbage can that's been sitting out in front of City Hall for about 2 or 3 weeks now. If you haven't and you want to, please come by and check it out. It's a sample of what we will expect to see every resident get as a part of this new package deal. And 96 gallons it's a decent amount of space. It's a lot of garbage to be held. So the garbage can is incredibly lightweight. So if you want to come up to City Hall and get your hands on it, check it out and provide input, it's here for you. Miss Regina, I think we got a second, or we got a motion in a second, right?
Yes.
Any other questions or comments? Okay, take it to a vote. All in favor of releasing the RFP tomorrow, say aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion carries. Appreciate the work on that. All right, next, you guys got a assessment report from Revival Architecture. I don't remember exactly what month it was, but asked the city council to hire an architectural firm to do an inspection on our historic train depot. The focus of which this investigation was looking for existing conditions, mostly pertaining to any ongoing leaks, mold and mildew, and unwanted moisture issues. So back in June the 18th, Aaron Ruby and his team from Revival assessed our current condition and basically gave us a report of any ongoing moisture infiltration issues. Bottom line, we do have some points that need to be addressed, but there's nothing just incredibly overwhelming or serious that they discovered during their visit. We have an ongoing leak at the depot that needs to be fixed. They had some concerns over the indoor air quality and the high humidity levels in the building. That's a summary of what they found. In your packet, the packet was what, 35 pages long or something like that, that report. On page 9, they essentially summed up recommendations, conclusions, and budget estimates. And they broke that into a short-term and long-term solutions. All right. There were 4 suggestions to be remediated in the short term in order to fix the ongoing leak or moisture issues. They recommended removing debris in the gutters, installing large drainage pipe and a strainer, and plugging the hole in a cabinet that is underneath the bay window in the train master's room. Total estimate for that was approximately $8,000. They recommended increasing the air quality by upgrading 2 thermostats so that both are on a 7-day program. They recommended installing 2 new dehumidifiers and removing the plexiglass over the basement windows and replacing those with louvers instead, cost of which was estimated at $7,000. They recommended improving water flow in the downspouts on the northwestern corner of the building. That was about a $1,000 estimate. And they also recommended that we look at the emergency egress lighting, make sure that it's up to date and replaced, it's operable. That was also about $1,000. So short-term solution was about $17,000. Then they recommendations put into the long-term category was an improvement in installation on the HVAC system. They gave us 2 proposals for that. They gave us basically remodeling and fixing and working with what we've got in place. The estimate was about $20,000, or replacing the whole system with a VRF system, and that was about $45,000. They recommended repairs in areas where water damage has already occurred. That was a $15,000 cost estimate. Replacing new storm windows and window restoration project as a total was a large part of this, especially improving the indoor air quality piece of this and removing some humidity. Overall, that was about $55,000. And they recommended upgrading current light fixtures with LED bulbs. Lump sum was about $8,000. So the total project, depending on if you replaced the AC or if you fixed the one that we had, was the replacement was an extra $25,000. So that total cost with option 2, the full HVAC replacement, was $123,000 altogether. So I need,
Mr. Mayor.
Right. Yes. Go ahead.
Yep. Point of clarification. This is not a general contractor's bid. This is the architect's preliminary cost estimate of what we should expect for a budget range for a project of this type. I apologize for interrupting, because you were going to make a recommendation for action, but the architect's report would lead to them then, if city council so chose, to have them put together bid documents to have whichever portion of the scope of work or whichever scope of work we direct them to do.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
And I appreciate the way Aaron broke that up for us. He gave us a short-term solution and then said, long range, you guys are going to, if you don't fix this now, you're going to have to in the future. So what I need to do is open the floor up to the council for discussion and get a recommendation from the city council which way to go with this. So the floor is open.
Yeah, first of all, I would like to thank them and the city for doing such an eloquent and thorough investigation of that building. I met with them that day among a few other board members, and they were very thorough in going through the building itself and the basement. So, Brian, if you gave us their information, I appreciate that, because I think they did a really good job with that.
Yes, ma'am. This selection was made through an RFP process, and Hannah and myself and Tiffany Hunter and I believe Mike Jones were part of that selection committee. So yeah, I agree that the committee that helped select them was their services appreciated because they identified a really great architect for this project.
I think we RFQ'd for that, right, Ryan?
We did RFQ. I'm sorry, I misspoke. Get request for qualifications. That's correct.
Yeah. So we did have interviews and vetted a few different firms. And
that's correct. I would add on to Suzette's comment that if we're looking for a gauge of priority, indoor air quality specifically for chamber staff and for Hannah's well-being is our top priority as the primary tenant in this facility. So if you read through the report, you get a sense that anything short of fully replacing the HVAC system, which is aged and is it's time to replace it. But anything short of doing that is kind of a patch and is short term by nature, and it will need to be taken care of eventually. I would also say that anything that happens here is probably, just given the timeline where we're at in the middle of September, probably not going to be bid on until early next year. It could happen by the end of this year, but just given the time frame of what's left. So as we consider budget allocation in the coming months, we might give priority to one of the two options for full replacement of the HVAC system, whether or not we choose to go for the full package that's proposed, or full scope that's proposed here. So there's something to consider there. The other thing to consider is there may be, I don't want to misspeak because I haven't been updated on the latest findings with the ESCO energy audits, but do you happen to know if they've been able to make any recommendations, or is there an understanding of proposed savings as a form of financing any capital improvements for energy efficiency? Because both the HVAC system and the lighting upgrades would both be considered energy efficient projects that would potentially be eligible for upgrades on city-owned property. So I'm tying two issues into one, but I'm just curious if there's the possibility, thinking ahead to financing these type of projects, if that's a possibility.
Absolutely is, and that's another larger discussion. But McKinstry, who's doing our ESCO, they've recently finished doing an energy audit on all the city buildings. We've had one meeting with them, and we're actually in ongoing discussion on total scope of work that we want them to conduct and finance ultimately for the city. So they have recommended, I don't remember if they recommended the HVAC at the depot. I do know that they recommended the thermostat and the LED upgrades for sure. But I guarantee you, it's called an ROM. I don't remember what that stood for, excuse me, but it's buried deep in my computer right now. I can pull it up, but I'd have to verify that they put the HVAC system at the depot on their list or not as a part of the project proposal. If Philip remembers, feel free to jump in. If not, no big deal either, but we could check into it. I'm sure
I believe they did, but in this case, I don't think we need financing to do this particular part of the project. I don't see a lot of benefit in putting on any long-term financing. I think we can handle it.
Does anybody have recommendations on which way to go with the HVAC? Because there's two different.
I would just say that the action, I would move that we request that Revival Architecture move forward with creating bid documents for the full scope at this point, and then when it's put out for bid, to release additive alternate or deductive alternate packages, so that there's the ability to electively include a portion of the scope at the recommendation of the engineer and architect.
Okay, Ryan. So there's no way that I'm going to be able to repeat that. If you would,
I would move.
You may move. So if you could just wrap that up for us, and then.
Yes, sir. The motion is to authorize Revival Architecture to produce bid documents for the full scope of work proposed in this report.
Okay. Do I have a second?
I'll second that. But also you said, Ryan, to the full scope, but also give options for doing different projects.
Yes.
Basically.
Yes, or what they can do is they can put in the bid, because this will have to be a bid project, publicly bid.
Right.
We could potentially, there's just not a lot of historic material that's affected by this work. If it was something along the lines that affected the historic fabric more, I would say we might look at the RFQ process versus an RFP, but based on this report, it's mostly the systems, the HVAC system, and then the resizing of the drainage pipe on that flat roof portion above the trainmaster room. So there's not a lot of visible historic preservation or restoration on the historic fabric that is occurring in this proposed scope. So it would be a bid project, and they could create, the architect and engineers could create the bid documents in such a way that you could have an additive alternate, as you say, Michael, essentially options for which part of the scope is essentially in a line item in their bid form. And that would give us some options for moving forward based on our budget that's determined.
Got a motion by Ryan Biles and a second by Michael Florence. Any other questions or comments?
I think one of the items of concern as well are all of the windows that are screwed shut that cannot be opened. And so I think that affects the air quality as well. We're just not able to get any airflow through that building. So to me, that would be a vital part of restoring and replacing the windows so we can manually open them.
Yeah, you're exactly right. So he included that as item number 7 in the report. It's actually the biggest ticket item, but it's they make historic profile storm windows that are almost indiscernible, so that the actual character of the historic window is still preserved, but they're operable. They can be raised and lowered, and that allows the user inside to bring in fresh air, as well as the new HVAC system will be designed with the fresh air intake that will completely change the feel of the inside of the building. It'll be a good upgrade for the depot.
Yeah, I think that would change the air quality immensely to do those 2 items. So,
and the total HVAC replacement, it seems like that would be the most logical thing to do, because if we don't replace the ductwork, which option 1 doesn't, they reported on how difficult it is to get to the ductwork with all of the obstructions and the ceiling and the brick wall. And it just seems like it would be, we would be losing money in the long run not to do it everything correctly to begin with.
I agree with you.
I agree as well.
All good concerns? Say again, Michael, I'm sorry.
I was just agreeing with Alice also.
Okay. All right. Motion second, good discussion. Anything else? We'll go to a vote. All in favor of requesting revival to draft bid documents in the full scope of work, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Good job. Motion carries. Get that knocked out. All right, on to new business. We've got 2 ordinances and a resolution in front of us, and we'll talk about some repairs to a neon sign and some more emergency purchases that we need made for our siren and antenna and coax system over there for our storm siren. Ordinance 768, it's an ordinance to amend the Unified Development Code. Okay, what's being asked is a proposal to allow the Community Development Department, i.e. Dan Salinger, to manage all of our building permits. Historically, they've gone through the Planning Commission, and this has been a huge source of contention. And I've sat down, I've watched this process ever since January of last year, and I've had a lot of discussion with multiple folks, and taking Jimmy Von Tunglen, our city planner's lead on this. I think it is absolutely in the city's best interest to consolidate the permit process administratively in-house, free up space for the planning commission to do exactly what they're called, plan, and give them the authority to vet and look over large-scale developments, still provide oversight on conditional use permits, and operate as a board of adjustments. And so that's what this ordinance addresses. It's going to be a fundamental change in the way that we approve permits in the city. Hopefully it's going to streamline the building process and increase decrease time for contractors. So with that, I'll take a motion to put 768 on the floor.
So moved, Ryan.
Second, Raymond.
Motion's made by Ryan Biles and seconded by Raymond Hatton.
Ordinance number 768, an ordinance amending the Lonoc Unified Development Code, declaring an emergency and for other purposes. Whereas the Planning Commission of the City of Lonoc, Arkansas has, pursuant to section 4.16 of the Lonoc Unified Development Code, conducted a public hearing upon proposed amendments to the code text heretofore adopted by the City Council for the City of Lonoc. And whereas the Planning Commission for the City of Lonoc, Arkansas has, upon conclusion of said public hearing, made a finding of fact that the amendments to the Unified Development Code text are consistent with and the purposes of the code and the plans adopted by the said Planning Commission. And whereas upon the aforesaid finding of fact, the Planning Commission has recommended to the City Council the amendments to the Unified Development Code text. And whereas the City Council has reviewed the requested code changes, now therefore be it ordained by the City Council for the City of Lonoc, Arkansas. Part 1, existing sections of the Lonoc Unified Development Code shall be amended as follows. Number 1, revise section 3.1 administrative official to read: the provisions of this code shall be administered by the administrative official appointed by the mayor. The administrative official may be provided with the assistance of other such persons as the mayor may direct. The administrative official shall enforce the provisions of this code and shall A, examine and approve any application pertaining to the use of land, buildings, signs, or structures to determine if the application conforms with the provisions of this code. B, issue all building permits for new construction, additions, remodels, for projects meeting the minimum standards of city, state, and federal codes. Permits for structures meeting the large-scale development designation shall be eligible for building permit review after the large-scale development is approved by the Planning Commission in accordance with section 5.7. C, keep permanent records of any changes to the zoning code or map. D, conduct inspections of buildings, structures, and use of land as is necessary to determine compliance with the regulations of this code. E, revoke approvals where provisions of this code are being violated. F, at each regular meeting of the Planning Commission, the administrative officer shall make a full report of all building permits approved during the previous month. 2, revise the first paragraph and first 2 subsections of section 3.4 building permits to read as follows. A, upon adoption of these zoning regulations, no building or structure shall be erected, altered, or moved without a building permit issued by the administrative official. No building permit shall be issued for the construction of any building or structure located on a lot or parcel subdivided or sold in violation of the provisions of these regulations or other applicable codes. Nor shall the municipality have any obligation to issue certificates of occupancy to extend utility services to any parcel created in violation of these regulations. B, a permit will be issued only when the application has been reviewed by the administrative official and appropriate staff and determined to meet the minimum requirements of these regulations and other applicable codes. During construction, the permit must be posted in a conspicuous place on the front of the premises. Number 3, add new section 2.7 submittal deadlines to read as follows. Any request for Planning Commission action must be submitted to the office of the administrative official by the end of business on the first business day of the month. This will include material for any proposed project requiring review and approval by the Lonoc Planning Commission. This will also include non-approval presentations to be brought to the Planning Commission's attention or questions involving routine administration of Planning Commission business. Requests for amendments to this code, including amendments to the official zoning map, must be submitted in time to allow publication of a notice of public hearing in a newspaper of general circulation at least 15 days prior to the Planning Commission meeting, during which the public hearing on the requested change will be held. Number 4, amend section 5.7 large-scale developments as follows. Amend subsection A to read: A, large scale development consists of a non-residential buildings containing an aggregate of 15,000 square feet or more, which will be on or located on a site containing 2 acres or more. Multifamily structures containing more than 3 housing units shall also qualify as large-scale developments. The developer of the large-scale development shall file and prepare with the Planning Commission an application for approval of development. Said application shall be filed in accordance with section 4.2.2. Part 2, the regulation and preservation of property uses and values in accordance with a comprehensive plan and the continued utilization of lands within the city of Lone Oak in accordance therewith being necessary for the preservation of the public peace, health, safety, and welfare. An emergency is hereby declared, and this ordinance shall be in full force and effect from and after its passage.
All right, thanks. I'll take a motion to accept the first reading.
So moved.
Second, Raymond.
All right, motion is made by Suzette Elmore, seconded by Raymond Hatton. Any questions or comments on the ordinance?
Mayor, so who do you see overseeing this in your administrative office?
Right now, Dan Salinger, and Regina's stepping back from the position, but she's got obviously 12 years of institutional knowledge, and she's passing that across the hall to Dan. They're obviously having conversations, and there's a steep learning curve with this, but he's been lining projects up and knocking them down left and right, and I've got full faith and confidence that Dan, given another few months, is going to know this code. No issues.
Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. Any other questions?
I have a question about item number 2. When you speak of a building or a structure being altered, are you talking about from the walls out or the walls in or both?
My interpretation with that would be both.
Both.
And I believe that's been the historic interpretation of the code. And the first thing to do is reference all the definitions that are in the Unified Development Code to see if alteration is included as one of those. But it's in there, and it's consistently, in my experience, been interpreted as both.
I agree with what Ryan said.
So I want to clarify this. So if someone bought a home and they wanted to do alteration within those walls, that would classify that they would need a building permit to do that?
Yes.
Is that all alterations are up to a dollar amount, or, I mean, is that painting or redoing floors, or exactly where's that?
I think I understand where you two are coming from. I'd have to look at the code to tell for sure, but there is a limit on it. Obviously just regular painting wouldn't qualify, but something where you're changing the character of the building in some way, a remodel obviously would be, but maybe not patching sheetrock. So I think there's a definition under the code. I just don't have that in front of me right now to quote to you.
Ginger, I would love to see that if you've got a copy or something you could share with us, because I think there's a lot of questions within that. I don't know if it would classify people that are moving walls, or like Coy mentioned, if you want to change your flooring, or you want to, add on to your kitchen, reconstruct your kitchen. I think there's just a lot of gray areas there that we're definitely going to have to define to eliminate a lot of questions.
Suzette, I'm reading from the Unified Development Code, which is online on the Planning Commission's website.
Mm-hmm.
And this does not fully answer your question, but the definition of structural alterations is any change in the supporting members of a building, such as bearing walls or partitions, columns, beams, or girders, or any substantial change in the roof or in the exterior walls. So that would by definition exclude finishes and equipment, that sort of thing. But generally speaking, and it's under the city's purview to define these things, but changes made to HVAC systems that require a licensed professional, changes made to the plumbing that requires a licensed professional, or changes made to electrical systems that require any of those things that code requires. And this isn't our code, but that Arkansas state code that applies here. Any of those changes that require a professional would by definition be something that would need to be permitted.
Thank
Making
you,
it
Ryan.
therefore, yeah, I'm sorry. And I hope I didn't misspeak there, but that's the first place I would start.
Yes, it's section 3.4 of the Unified Development Code that has an outline on it. But Ryan's correct. It's basically anything that requires a professional, for sure would require also a permit. I know a lot of people do their own work on some electrical and things like that, but those would also require permits too.
So if I need a new air conditioner installed, I have to get a permit?
Yes.
Anything pretty much that's not aesthetic, like what, to sum up Ryan's point, HVAC systems, electrical systems, plumbing systems, or anything that's structural. Everything pretty much falls within those four. And if it outside of that, it's aesthetic, and aesthetics do not require any type of building permit.
And as a reminder, all of those type of alterations require a licensed building professional or trade professional to have those services performed, because they have to be inspected for code compliance. And again, those codes are not Lone Oak administered codes. Those are state of Arkansas administered codes that Lone Oak is required to abide by. And a larger point on this modification to the Unified Development Code is the crux of this is not this definition. The crux of this is administratively right now, the Planning Commission is tasked with this approval process, versus this specific ordinance is moving that responsibility from the Planning Commission over to the Community Development Director, which is Mr. Salinger. So there's no change to the requirement, but what is being changed is we're removing the barrier of generally time and bureaucratic process from the commission and moving it over to a department, which will allow permits to be issued faster. So this, the net effect of this will be it's easier for a builder or a general contractor to get a building permit in Lone Oak with this new, if this new ordinance passes, versus where it is right now, which the Planning Commission is required to evaluate all of these items. So it's an administrative streamlining. But the question of how do we define alteration, and do we want to set certain thresholds for what's required, notwithstanding Arkansas annotated code, we can consider if we want to define those things in a specific way. But that's a separate move that we would need to study and request to study. But that's not what's being proposed this evening, if I understand everything correctly.
Yeah, and I think that is a great idea, Ryan. I think we need to be very definitive and outline these items that are considered. So I think that would be great for everyone to have a copy of, and people could pick up at the city hall to actually verify what needs a permit and what does not.
This is also kind of part of a larger discussion, and it's probably not worth belaboring our time this evening, but anytime that these type of projects occur, it's not the homeowner's responsibility to know the code. It's the homeowner's professional, their design professionals and their building professionals. It's their responsibility to know and abide by the code. Ultimately, the homeowner is responsible for who they hire, but it can seem like a burden for someone who wants to do a project to try to wade through all of this that doesn't make sense to them. And that's an understandable burden. And that would underscore the fact that you have to hire professionals for these processes. And again, it's for the health, safety, and welfare of the community. And also there's a tremendous liability here with regards not just to life safety, but also conveyance of property in the future, because in order to be able to sell a property, you have to make sure that, certain things are as they appear to be and as they have been told to be, and thus the process.
Brian, I'll add too, as a lot of people don't fully understand, the Unified Development Code is not written in stone. There is a process which goes to the Planning Commission. Generally, a public hearing would be held and finalized by the City Council. So if there are amendments that need to be made, and there might likely be, there's a process for that. That was a lot of discussion. So Regina, back up the tapes for us. Did we get a motion and a second to approve?
First reading, yes.
Okay. Did we accept the first reading? I don't think we did.
No, we didn't vote.
Okay. All right. So we got a motion and a second. You've got those logged. Are there any other discussion items or comments or questions? That was a good talk. And we'll go to a vote. All in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed? All right. I'll take a motion to suspend the rules, second and third reading, title only.
So moved.
Second.
Motion is made by Coy Butler, seconded by Alice Bridges.
Ordinance number 768, an ordinance amending the Lonoke Unified Development Code, declaring an emergency and for other purposes.
I'll take a motion to accept the second and third reading, title only.
So move.
Second. Coy.
Motion is made by Raymond Hatton and seconded by Coy Butler. All in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed? I'll take a motion to adopt.
So moved.
And second, Ryan.
All right, motion is made by Coy Butler, seconded by Ryan Biles. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any
Aye.
opposed? Motion carries. All right, and I'll take a motion to adopt the emergency clause.
So moved. Coy Butler.
Second, Raymond Hatton.
Motion made by Coy, seconded by Raymond Hatton. All in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed? All right, ordinance, that was ordinance 769. No, 768 is approved. Thank you very much. All right, next is ordinance 769. This is attached to the Lonoke Business Academy process. They have already started breaking ground, and to make this plan complete, they have had to go through the annexation process, and we are a part of that. So we sent you guys the portion of the community that needs to be annexed to the property through this survey. And we need to either approve it or deny it via ordinance. So with that, I will take a motion to put ordinance 769 on the floor.
So moved, Ryan.
Second.
Motion is made by Ryan Biles and seconded by Suzette Elmore.
Ordinance number 769, an ordinance accepting the annexation of certain territory to the city of Lonoke, approving the schedule of services to be extended to said area and assigning such to award. Whereas a petition was filed pursuant to Arkansas Code annotated section 14-40-609 for the annexation of certain territory into the city of Lonoke, Arkansas. And whereas the Lonoke County Assessor and the Lonoke County Clerk have A, verified the identity of the petitioner, B, verified that there are no property owners included in the petition that do not wish to have their property annexed, as the Lonoke Public School District owns the entirety of the property to be annexed and is the petitioner seeking annexation herein. C, verified that the property or properties are contiguous within the city of Lonoke. D, verified that no enclaves will be created if the petition is accepted by the city of Lonoke, and presented the petition and their respective verifications to the Lonoke County Judge. And whereas the Lonoke County Judge has A, reviewed the petition and verifications for completeness and accuracy, B, determined that no enclaves will be created by the annexation, and C, confirmed that the petition contains a schedule of services to be provided by the city of Lonoke, including water, sewer, and mosquito control. D, found that the land to be annexed will not create any of the exceptions to annexation under Arkansas Code annotated section 14-40-302B. And E, issued an order articulating these findings and forwarded the petition and order to the contiguous city of Lonoke for consideration. And whereas it's the desire of the Lonoke City Council that said territory be annexed, now therefore be it ordained by the Lonoke City Council, Section 1, the following described territory contiguous to the city of Lonoke be, and the same is hereby accepted as part of and annexed to and made a part of the city of Lonoke, Arkansas. A part of the southwest quarter of Section 20, Township 2 north of the baseline, Range 8 west of the 5th principal meridian, Lonoke County, Arkansas, being particularly described as follows: commencing at the northwest corner of said southwest quarter of Section 20, Township 2 north, Range 8 west, thence south 01 degrees 16 minutes 22 seconds west for 191.85 feet to a point on the southerly right of way of US Highway number 70, thence south 89 degrees 21 minutes 39 seconds east along said right of way for 492.59 feet to a point of beginning, then south 88 degrees 48 minutes 38 seconds east along said right of way for 246.12 feet to the point of beginning, then south 88 degrees 43 minutes 34 seconds east along said right of way for 1,000 feet to a point, thence leaving said right of way run south 00 degrees 40 minutes 02 seconds west for 392.00 feet to a point, thence north 88 degrees 43 minutes 34 seconds west for 1,000 feet to a point, thence north 00 degrees 40 minutes 02 seconds east for 392.00 feet, returning to the point of beginning containing 9.00 acres more or less. Property is subject to a 10-foot sewer easement along the north line. Section 2, the following schedule of services shall be extended to the area by the city of Lonoke within the statutorily required 3-year period after the date of the annexation becomes final as follows: water, sewer, and mosquito control. Section 3, the above described territory shall be annexed to and made a part of Ward 5 of the city of Lonoke, and the same shall henceforth be part of said ward as fully as existing parts of said ward. Section 4, 30 days after passage and publication of or posting of this ordinance as authorized by law, the annexation shall be final and the property shall be within the corporate limits of the city of Lonoke, except as otherwise ordered by the circuit court pursuant to a cause of action filed within said 30-day period. Section 5, notice within 45 days of the effective date of this ordinance, the city clerk shall provide written notice along with complete documentation to the county clerk of each county in which the territory is affected.
Thank you, Ginger. Take a motion to accept the first reading.
So moved,
Oh, my.
Ryan.
Yeah. Second.
Okay, I had a motion by Ryan Biles, seconded by Suzette Elmore. Any questions or discussion items? All in favor? Yeah. I'm sorry, go ahead.
I was just going to say, Miss Stewart, you have a gift for reading ordinances. An outstanding job.
Thank you. I don't know if it's a gift or a curse.
Second that.
I'm sure it was thrilling to hear the legal description read out loud.
Mr. Mayor, a minor point on this. With this property now being upon passage of this ordinance, properties in the city, would it be possible for us to plan for sidewalk pedestrian access to the property, since it would then be within the city's boundaries?
It would be possible.
Thank you. I'd just like to note that we should prioritize that for the students who will be going to this facility.
Thank you. All right. Any other questions? Points of concern? All in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed? All right, motion carries. I'll take a motion to suspend the rules, second and third reading, title only.
So moved, Coy.
Second, Miss Elmore.
Motion made by Coy Butler, seconded by Suzette Elmore.
Ordinance number 769, an ordinance accepting the annexation of certain territory to the city of Lonoke, approving the schedule of services to be extended to said area and assigning such to award.
Motion to accept second and third reading, title only.
Motion to accept second, third reading, title only.
Second, Coy Butler.
Thank you, sir. Motion's made by Ms. Alice Bridges, seconded by Coy Butler. All in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion carries. I'll take a motion to adopt.
So moved.
Second, Coy Butler.
Motion is made by Raymond Hatton, seconded by Coy Butler. All in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed? All right, ordinance 769 is adopted. I'll take a motion to adopt the emergency clause.
So moved, Coy Butler.
Second, Mike.
Thank you. Motion is made by Coy Butler, seconded by Michael Florence. All in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed? All right, well done. Thank you guys very much. All right, next on the agenda is resolution 91-2020. I'm gonna speak to that real quickly since Now the passing of ordinance 768 is going to free up the time of the planning commission. I've got a few things that I'd like to charge them with, one of which I'd like to do through resolution. And that is to revise our general plan. If anybody is not aware of the general plan, it is technically our planning constitution. You can find it online at lonoc.plannercity.com. I believe it's right next to Unified Development Code, which happens to get all of its attention. But the general plan is equally, if not more important. It's the parent document, like I said, that is to be, it's a written vision for our community, and it's to guide the growth pattern for the next 10 or 20 years. I think it's a very important document that we need to be referencing, and I think the Planning Commission needs to be intimately aware that the Unified Development Code that they are exercising every month supports that written vision for our community. And now that we have these supporting visuals and reports, i.e. we've got the Connecting Lonoc document. We will soon have a digital use master plan. University of Arkansas is working with our Lonoc Vista to get some survey and data points on who needs internet, where internet access is. Do people in Lonoc use the internet to shop, to play games, to go to school? But we need a digital use master plan. We've got a walk audit now that's being conducted by Craft and Toll, thanks to Lonoc 2022. So we've got all this really good information. We've got a 9-year-old general plan document that needs to be revised. So we've got the bones and the makings to really put together some really solid guidance for our planning commission as they get ready to enter a new era of planning for the city. And so if you open the general plan up, what you'll see just in chapter verse, a basic introduction, which talks about the history of the community. It gives you some context in terms of how Lonoc is related to other towns in and out and throughout Central Arkansas, kind of a regional map and that type of context. It talks about general trends, housing trends, demographics, school, land use trends, zoning trends. And then chapter 4 is really where it lays out the goals and strategies for the Planning Commission to execute. And so I've had a lot of discussion with Jimmy Von Tone, Dan Salinger, Karen Deal, and this is something that I think is it's a very good task to give to the Planning Commission at this time. And I'd like to ask the City Council to adopt a resolution to support it. So with that, I'll take a motion to put resolution 9/1/2020 on the floor.
So moved, Ryan.
Second, Michael.
Motion's made by Ryan Biles and seconded by Michael Florence.
Resolution number 9-1-2020, a resolution tasking the Planning Commission to review and revise the general plan for the city of Lonoc, Arkansas. Whereas cities of the first and second class and incorporated towns have the power to adopt and enforce plans for the coordinated, adjusted, and harmonious development of the municipality and its environs. And whereas the City Council of the city of Lonoc, Arkansas previously adopted a general plan concerning land use,
I lost Ginger. Is anybody else? Send her a message real quick. We've been here before.
It's frozen.
1 second. Anybody catch the number she was at so she can pick back up?
It was that land use.
Yeah.
Second paragraph.
Okay.
Second paragraph.
All right. We're at an hour and a half. Regina, would you actually hold on a second? Regina, would you mind picking the resolution up? Do you have it in front of you?
Sure. Whereas the City Council of the city of Lonoc, Arkansas previously adopted a general plan containing land use, transportation, and community facility plans on December 9th, 2011. And whereas the City Council has appointed a planning commission that is charged with studying the present conditions and the probable future growth of the municipality and its neighboring territory to assure that the general plan that is in place lines up with those findings. Now therefore be it resolved by the City Council of Lone Oak, Arkansas that, number one, the Planning Commission for the City of Lone Oak is charged with reviewing and revising the general plan to communicate current and probable future growth of the municipality and its surrounding territories.
Thank you, Regina. I'll take a motion to accept the first reading.
So moved.
Second.
Motion made by Suzette Elmore, seconded by Alice Bridges. Any other questions? Before we take it to a vote, I want to give you guys a quick summary of the 4 things that I've actually got in mind for the Planning Commission to begin working on. The general plan is the first and by far the most comprehensive. Our Unified Development Code is lacking guidance for alternative energy systems. Hot water heaters, solar systems, wind turbines, all the things that we're starting to see become a part of residential zones and houses and whatever. So we're behind in that respect. And I want the Planning Commission to help get our Unified Development Code caught up in that regards. I'd like to see our historic downtown be protected with an overlay, much like what we see going down 31. The point of which would be to fortify and to protect the integrity and the spirit of our historic brick railroad downtown, right? And so anyways, those are 3 points that I wanted to leave with you that I'm going to be sitting down and working with intimately with Karen and with Jimmy Von Tumlin to make sure that they put emphasis on those points. Okay. If you guys have any input, I'd love to hear it. Come by sometime, we'll sit down and discuss it. If there aren't any other points of consideration, we'll go to a vote on the resolution. All in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed? All right, thank you very much. I appreciate it. All right, 3 more items. These should be relatively quick. I can't tell you what the date or what the reason was, but there were some employees over at what is called the county shop across the street from City Hall and have stumbled across a bit of a gem that some of you may actually remember at a point in time when it was actually posted up. And that's an old neon sign that looks kind of like this, sitting over across the street, and we're getting no good use out of it. It's a beautiful old sign. It's really neat. And so with some encouragement, I've asked Roy Don to go do some research and figure out how much it would cost to actually get this fixed. You got some estimates on it, which are in your packet. And if I'm reading that right, you're looking at about $2,180 with taxes and everything. We can have ourselves a nice neon sign to post out and help identify City Hall.
I think that's a great idea myself. We'll need a.
We got one quote because we took it to another place. There's not very many people who does that neon sign in Jacksonville. They wouldn't even. They kept it for 2 weeks and they said we couldn't fix it. Place in Bryant is the only one we got the quote, and he said he could have it. He could fix it pretty easy.
My thoughts would are to put it out here if we can get permission from Entergy. There's a telephone pole on the 45-degree angle from the building. If they deny that request, then we'll try to attach it or fix it to the building itself. I'll take suggestions on it, but I assumed we put it on the 45-degree angle that could be seen from both sides of the building.
Mr. Mayor, this is Ryan. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Suzette. I apologize.
No, that's exciting. I'm glad that someone found it to, put it back up, because that's a wonderful sign that doesn't need to go to waste.
Yeah, absolutely. I'll echo that.
Go ahead.
I was just going to mention there's a practical reality that's helpful here too, which is I get people all the time asking where City Hall is. I'm like, how do you not know? But I'm like, well, you know what? That tells you people it's not obvious. And so this is a great opportunity to help indicate that too.
And it's historic.
It was on that pole for years, and In fact, it used to be years ago kind of a running thing, you know, because we had numerous times where it went out and it was almost about a motion to fix the sign. And we always did. I don't remember when it was taken down.
Philip, do you remember what color the gas was?
It was red.
Mhm.
Red.
Red.
Well, then that's, if it's okay by the council, that's what we'll ask to go back to.
Classic.
Well, at this point, I'll take the motion.
Just to interrupt on that, I think they can actually restore it with LED lights if we're not just super concerned about the historic nature of it. It tends to be a heck of a lot cheaper that way and a lot easier to fix in the future too. I mean, it's not the neon, but there's a reason people don't do neon signs anymore too.
Mm.
Carlisle has one that's working.
I
Right.
think it's a really good point, actually. And I did not even think about replacing it as a neon. So, Roy Don, I assume the quote we've got, would the folks be able to consider that as an alternative? Could they also do the neon fix? Or, I'm sorry, the LED fix?
It's breaking up real bad, Mayor.
I'm sorry. What I was saying is, to Ginger's point, the LED replacement, is that something that Arkansas Signs and Neon could do for us? Do you know?
Probably is. We didn't ask them. We just asked them what it would cost to fix it, fix this. We thought, you know, you told me you would like to go back with neon. We didn't ask for the LED.
Well, I absolutely didn't think about it, but Ginger's right. That's the economical, practical fix for this sign. It'll last longer, won't cost any, and there'd be no utility expense to it, so practically none. So with that, I'll tell you what I'd like to do then is I'd like to bring this back to council next. There's no rush on it. I'd like to bring it back and we'll have Roy Don look into it, see what it costs to get the LED fixed. That's okay with everybody? No objections? All right. Well, that's what we'll do then. I appreciate it. That's a good suggestion. We'll have a new estimate for you guys at the next city council. All right, Justin, are you still with us?
Yes.
Okay. Last two items on the agenda is a repair to our storm siren antenna and our coax. And this became apparent. We had a deficiency in our tornado siren system. I guess, was it before Laura or was it as we were preparing and testing for Laura?
It was before.
Okay. And essentially what we had is a weak signal going out and ultimately ended up with a storm door that did not open. And when seconds matter, that could be a life, be a really important decision. So Justin's done some digging and looking into it and found somebody who could replace our storm siren antenna and our coax. So I'll tell you what I'm gonna do. You got the specifics on, let you explain to the council exactly what it is that we need so that they can have a better understanding.
Okay, you did a pretty good job. What's happening is our coax and antenna is putting out, I would say 70% of what it's supposed to. So it's already on a low frequency antenna. So if it's not putting out 100%, it's staticky from the police department to the primary school, and it shouldn't be. So like the mayor said, the primary school door did not open when we tested them. That's how we got figured this out. When we turned the radio up at the primary school, it was real staticky. So we had somebody come out. We thought it was on that end. So we had the school have somebody come out and we discovered it's actually on our end. The storm doors and the sirens are on the same radio and the same antenna and all that. So it all works in conjunction. So you should have an estimate in front of you on replacing the antenna and the coax at the police department. That's where that's located.
All right, I'll take a motion to accept bid for fixing as it's been proposed.
So moved.
Second, Michael.
All right, motion's made by Suzette Elmore, seconded by Michael Florence. Any questions? Okay. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. All right, and lastly, that's a maintenance agreement that I'm definitely not intimately aware of. So Justin, you can go ahead and explain that to us.
storm sirens, the one at the police department is really, really old. When they did their test on Wednesdays, that's the one they hear. We have had occasions where the one at Energy on South Center has not activated, and that may be due to the radio signal not getting to it. It might be to lack of maintenance. There's just something that gets forgotten unless you're tuned in to hear them on Wednesday. Then I mean they're just you hear them and don't think anything about it. But we do need to get on maintenance because I don't believe they've been maintenance since I've been the fire chief. I know, and before that I don't remember them getting maintenance. So we just need to get them maintenance and see what condition they're in and replace bad parts or worn parts or something like that. You should have a estimate in front of you for just checking them out, and then we can bring back the estimate cost on fixing them if something's wrong with them.
Justin, we spoke about this, but I'll be honest with you, I don't fully remember the details. Are these run off of a battery, or are they directly supplied into a power source?
Both. They have a battery backup that would give you one rotation or one 10-minute signal if the power was to go down before we could set them off. That hasn't happened recently, but I mean, it could, and that's what they have 12-volt batteries on the pole.
Okay.
Especially the one at O'Reilly's and the one at Energy. The one at the police department would run off the generator when it started at the police department. So most definitely, we'd have one work right now if the power went off, but the other two would be iffy because of the age of the batteries in them. But they are hardwired most of the time. So Wednesday, when they go off, they're running off of Energy.
I'll make a quick point too, just in case somebody may be listening that isn't fully aware that that system is set off at the dispatch at the police department as soon as an official tornado warning is issued for our immediate area. And then as soon as that radio signal goes out, the siren starts and the doors are opened by a radio signal at the same time. That's how the system works. I believe Justin and Matt are the only two folks in town that are authorized to set that off. Is that correct?
With our guidance, yes.
Yeah. Okay. Just for your own personal edification. With that, I'll take a motion to accept the proposal for storm siren maintenance agreement.
So
I move
moved,
that
Ryan.
we accept the proposal.
I'll second Ryan.
I'll go with Ms. Alice's motion, seconded by Ryan Biles. Any further points of concern or questions? All in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed? All right, the motion carries. All right, lastly, I'll take a motion to approve and pay bills.
So moved.
Second.
All right, motion made by Coy Butler, seconded by Suzette Elmore. All in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion carries. Are there any announcements for the public from the City Council? All right, I've got just a few that I want to get out. We thankfully got notified, I believe it was Thursday evening, that FEMA grant we had applied for, it's been about 8 months ago now, I believe it was, we've been awarded. So it's a huge deal. And that's going to provide us with $131,250 to conduct a drainage study to be able to identify barriers to our watershed. We are going to be responsible for about $33,000 out of that $131,000. So I'm incredibly excited that this is the first major step in hopefully what will become a master drainage plan for our community. All right. We got 2 weeks left before the census. So we need each other to get that information out, encourage folks at our churches, encourage folks at the grocery store, just conversation starter. We've got, could really use some help. If anybody wants to volunteer, we've got door hangers sitting up here at City Hall. And I can't say enough praise and thanks to Val Turner for her efforts leading the complete census committee during this, good heavens, how long has it been, Ms. Moore? It's been over a year probably now. You know, she's been incredibly persistent. And so big praise and kudos to Val for moving into Lone Oak and taking charge of something as big as the Triple C. I haven't seen the numbers in the past few days. We were currently at about 65 or 67%. Our goal is 90. The last census, we were at right about 77% participation. So much is riding on the participation rate from the public. So if you haven't yet, now's the time to start shaking the tree and volunteering and getting the word out that we've got to get everybody in town counted. And that is all I have. With that, I'll take a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
All right, motion by Ms. Alice. Do I have a second? Michael?
Yes.
Okay. Any objections? All right. Thank you, guys. Have a good evening.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good night, everybody.
Good night.
Right.